The Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged the Group Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Malik Yari, to promptly publish details of barrels of oil Nigerian produces and exports every day, and the total amount of revenue generated from oil since the removal of subsidy on petrol in May 2023. SERAP also urged him to disclose how much of the revenue generated from oil have been remitted to the public treasury since the removal of subsidy on petrol. Also, SERAP wants him to disclose details of payment of the 11 trillion as subsidy and to clarify allegation that the Nnpcl has failed to remit revenue generated from oil to the public treasury since the removal of subsidy on petrol. In the later dated 9 December 2023 and signed by SERAP Deputy Director Kolawole Olawadare, the organization said there is a legitimate public interest in disclosing the information sought. The group said capacity in the amount of barrels of oil the company produces and exports daily, the revenue generated and remitted to the public treasury would have a negative impact on the fundamental interest of the citizens and the public interest. Transparency will ensure that the revenues are not diverted into private pockets and increase public trust that the money will be used to benefit Nigerians. SERAP said it will be grateful if the recommended measures are taken within 7 days of the receipt publication of the letter. But if nothing is done, SERAP shall consider appropriate legal action to compel the Nnpcl to comply with its request in public interest. But the big question on the big story for today is, will such a request not go the way of others as it concerns the operation of the Nnpcl? And why is the operation of the Nnpcl so opaque? Well, these and more as it concerns the Nnpcl is what this edition of the big story is all about. And we're talking about the Nnpcl operations, a call for transparency. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the big story. We're talking about that, not just that letter itself, and instructing or recommending that the Nnpcl make full details of barrels of oil we produce in a day and what we sell and the monies or the revenue generated, but also a total look at the operations of the Nnpcl and why many feel it's opaque over the years. But anyway, to help us talk about this, we're being joined all the way from Edo State, to be precise, Benin City. And we're talking of no other person but Mr. Solomon Idiogbe. He's of the Civil Society for the Call of True Democracy and Accountability in Governance. Hello, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Quest.
Well, good morning and welcome to it, Mr. Solomon Idiogbe. Let's quickly go to the business of the day. Now, all of this issue of request from SERAP started last week when the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, alleged that the Nnpcl was failing to remit enough foreign exchange into the treasury despite the removal of the subsidy, asking, where is the money? But I would rather ask a different question, knowing that the Nnpcl is now a limited liability company with its obligation under the Companies Allied Matters Act to announce to the shareholders, which are Nigerians. Now, the question is, should it be compelled to disclose its profit and operation before it does so, or should it not naturally just go ahead and give us a breakdown of its operations, what it earned, what we earned, what it sold, what it remitted? I just want your thought as it concerns that very request coming from SERAP.
Michael, very sincerely, Nigeria has become a jungle and has become an animal farm. On a normal ground, very sincerely, nobody is supposed to ask Nnpcl to disclose because it is their responsibility. When it's taken aback every day when we hear comments coming from the one they refer to as the group managing director of Nnpcl, that even the production of fuel by refineries in Nigeria or fixing refineries in Nigeria.
Yes.
It's not a yardstick that petroleum products prices will come down.
Okay.
What are his thoughts on the intelligence of Nigerians in the first instance? The extent for which you said fuel increase is up or fuel price is up is because of the cost of importation.
Of course.
Now, you are now having a refinery where you do not have to import fuel or export crude. All you need to do now are going to be within your territory. You are still saying that will not change the cost of buying petroleum products at the filling station. It means that there's something to it that we do not understand. If Nnpcl is truly a limited company, why should it not be that the same Nnpcl that should be determining prices of petroleum products? Why should it be that it is Nnpcl that should be the determinant of everything that happens? So we are still where we are. Government determines who board members are not changed. Government determines who the board members are, where they come from, who they appoint. Okay, the story long. So for me, the comment by Sarah is not out of it at all.
Solomon Idiogbe, I'll play with you to hold on because I'll still return you to my initial question. Should they be compelled to announce to us the runnings, the operation?
They should ordinarily not be compelled. But I can also assure you that even compelling them will not make them do it.
Okay, anyway, okay. What we'll do now is I'll really appreciate if we can break down each of the demands coming from SERAP, so at least we'll look at issues critically and with a whole lot of perspective to it. And because their demands are like four major demands coming from SERAP, insisting that if such demands are not met in the next 7 days, which is next week to be precise, they are going to take serious legal action against the Chief Executive Officer of the Nnpcl. So let's look at the issues critically. Now, let's start with one. Now, they told the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Malik Kolo Kyari, to promptly publish details of barrels of oil Nigerian produces and exports each day, and the total amount of revenue generated from oil sales since the removal of subsidy on petrol in May 2023. Now, speaking to to a news media in June, Kyari disclosed that Nigeria was pumping about 1.67 million barrels of oil and condensates per day. And the National Bureau of Statistics in May this year also said our daily output was about 1.2 million barrels of crude oil per day, especially during the second quarter of 2023. But after that very disclosure, not much has been said about our daily output and sales. Now, why do you feel that is so? That we are so not being informed about our daily output, and so should not be demanded from those doing oversight? And I'm talking about the National Assembly. Should they not be the ones demanding from the Nnpcl to tell us how much of crude oil is being sold? Undermining, they in every way compelled the Chief Executive Officer to appear before them last week, which he did on Friday. So I'm just asking, why are we not getting full information on account of our daily output? And is somebody not lacking in his own oversight? That's the reason the Nnpcl is having a free day and not doing the needful.
Michael, my brother, the truth of the matter is this. We are in an animal farm. Do you even need to remind the National Assembly of their oversight function? Whether the red chambers or the green chambers, don't they have committees saddled with the responsibility of looking at the production, working, income, expenditure, staffing of these companies? They have. Now, the reason why they have become toothless bulldogs is that over time, these companies will always bring the largest to them. Give them Ghana, and they look at the books and take a bow is the next one. Painfully, Serap is doing a lot for Nigerians.
Yes.
On the issues of asking the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be accountable to the people. But Michael, do you know the accountability to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by the government and its agency is a constitutional right of the people to have? But how come that these duties are not done? Because government believes that they do not owe us anything. You know my pain now. It's not the even the issue of the National Assembly.
Yes.
That Serap will go to court with the support of people like Solomon Ijobe saying it's the right thing for them to do. Those justices of those courts, if you like, you call them judges, if you call them you call judiciary, after exchanging Ghana must go. We still tell you that by FOI, you still cannot demand a disclosure of certain documents and facts by this company. Michael, do you know that the FOI Act
Yes.
gave to every Nigerian, you as Michael don't need to go to the National Assembly, that you can, by virtue of the FOI, Freedom of Information Act, request Nnpcl to disclose by virtue of the FOI. But I can tell you that when Michael writes, the FOI does not provide that you must get a lawyer. The provisions of FOI is to the fact that you as a citizen, Michael Wobadia, can demand from these people the details of their working. Insofar as a public office. But I can assure you, you will not get it.
But now Solomon Ijobe, I rather want to stick with what you said now. You said, let's look at the Constitution. And in my introduction, in my very first question, looking at Nnpcl now, or Nnpcl now, a limited liability company, and looking at the Constitution, especially the Companies Allied Act, every detail should be made public, irrespective of whether Serap goes to court, just like what you said. And if we take our mind also to Saudi Arabia oil company, Aramco, which the Nnpcl is factioned around, just in March this year, they disclosed that they had about $161 billion in revenue in 2022. That's the profit margin. So I'm just wondering that irrespective of whether we have the right to ask for the Freedom of Information Bill or Act for us to disclose this, in a normal company running, should such disclosure not just be made public? Just irrespective of whether we ask or not. Should it in a company way not be that way?
Whether you do, see, let me tell you, a company by the virtue of the Ghana law,
yes,
should disclose income, profit, and all others.
Yeah, expenditure.
Because you have a board, you have expenditures, you have staffing, you are supposed to disclose every year. Even not to me, if you think that someone does not have a right. But by the time you declare by virtue of Corporate and Allied Matters Act,
yes,
it will become a document for the public consumption. But I can assure you, since when have you ever had Nnpcl telling you how many liters of petrol or how many barrels, how many? They are all shaded with secrecy. You see, I'll give you an example here.
Okay.
Some time ago, we had issue of fuel scarcity. It took us having petroleum marketers, both independent and major marketers.
Yes.
To be on a table of discourse with DPRO.
Okay.
This mainstream Austrian, now mainstream Austrian regulatory agency, former DPRO. State government, NSCDC, SSS, police, for us to be able to compel the authorities to disclose to the public liters of petroleum that goes to petrol stations. Even when, are you with me?
Yes, I am. So that's why my question lies. Do you feel it's all about a lack of not having the proper structures to understand?
It is lack of political will by those in the authority to do what they ought to do, and it is as a result of the extent of ladder, extent of Ghana must guns and hand greasing within the authorities who are supposed to be the regulatory agencies or regulatory authorities and the supervisory authorities, if you like, and the people who are supposed to ensure that justice is done.
Okay.
That's truly just the fact. It has nothing else. You see, this is a country where monkey can swallow money. This is a country where snake can swallow money. It is only in Nigeria somebody can be declared wanted. The same person will still be in civil service and still be receiving salary. This is a country, the only country where a court of competent jurisdiction can issue a bench warrant on an individual. The same individual will still go freely walking, even go to police station and be dining and eating with senior police officers. It is only in this country it can happen. So, I want to first of all commend Serap for holding briefs for Nigerians. I want to commend Serap for always being at the jugular of government and government agencies whose duty ordinarily is to give to the Nigerian people what they ought to. But they are not being forced by an organization who believes there is the right of the simple Nigerians to know what is done and when it is done.
Okay, well, Solomon Idiobe, I'll plead with you to hold on. Solomon, please, hold on a bit. We'll go on a break now. But when we come back, we'll continue about more of the demands of Serap, especially the issue of how much was spent during the subsidy era and who these monies were paid to. Let's go on a break.